Welcome to Crosstalk Solutions. Today we're going to be going on a Starlink road trip, and by that I mean I've taken my Starlink satellite dish and I've packed it up, I stowed it away, and I have put it in the back of my car along with a whole bunch of other tech hardware, and I've driven out here to the coast of Oregon, about 3 hours away from my house. I'm currently at a place called the Seven Devils State Recreation Site, and I have no cell phone coverage whatsoever. We're going to set up the Starlink satellite dish and see what kind of service we can get. The Starlink service, at least in beta form, is geo-locked to a particular location, but I have seen other videos on YouTube where people have driven, pretty decent distances away. A 3-hour drive on the ground is a pretty small distance relative to a satellite, in low Earth orbit. So hopefully I should have no problem connecting my satellite dish out here in this sort of remote area. Now, why exactly did I come to this particular remote area? I'm in a little town called Charleston, Oregon, right on the Oregon coast, and this location is right next to one of the Starlink ground receiving stations. So when I'm connecting to the Starlink satellite dish is connecting up into the Starlink satellite network, and that Starlink satellite network has various ground stations that it connects down to terrestrially to get that internet connection into the regular old internet. So I am very close to the Charleston, Oregon base station, and I drove by the gate which is to the property for that base station, and it was very nondescript. There's a couple of houses down that road, but it didn't look like anything out of the ordinary. You would never think that there was a Starlink base station when you drive right by. All right, so beautiful sunny day, at least right where I'm standing. Again, I turn myself this way, and you can see that there is rain, and the wind is actually blowing this direction. So we're gonna set this up, but hopefully I don't have too much electronic equipment sitting out if it does start to dump on me. Okay, so let's look in the trunk here. And so here is the satellite dish itself. I've got it packed up in the original box. I also have a table and some stands and all sorts of technical hardware in here that we'll see what we can do to make use of. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing out of the box. So getting internet through the satellite dish is one thing, but I'm also going to need power, and I'm going to need a significant amount of power considering that the Starlink satellite dish sucks down about 90 to 150 watts. So to overcome that power limitation, I brought a new toy. This is the EcoFlow EFDELTA. I mean, it's almost like a battery generator. This thing is humongous. I don't remember all of the exact specs. I will put them down below. Now, this is a device that I received from EcoFlow probably about a year ago, and for all that time, I've really tried to find a way that I can have a sort of crosstalk angle on the product and feature it in a video. And I've just never been able to really think of anything. There's other YouTubers out there that have done reviews on this product that are much more in-depth electrically than my knowledge would allow me to be. I'm just not an electrician. I don't understand a lot of the electrical stuff. Okay, so here is the EFDELTA. Now for charging it up, we can charge it up with standard AC power right here, or we've got an input here for either charging it through the sort of cigarette lighter adapter, from your car, or with solar panels, and it comes with the cables to do all of these things. So I charged it up last night. It came with 30% battery power or 30% reserves, and I plugged it in and it got up to 100% with AC power, standard 110 US AC power in about an hour. So it went from 30% to 100% capacity. On this side over here, we've basically got an inverter. You can see there's like 6 power plugs here, and you can turn the AC power on and off. There's also a car outlet adapter or cigarette lighter adapter right here. On the other side, we can see that I just turned this thing on. I'm not sure if that's coming through on the screen or not, but it has a really nice LED display screen. And what I'm seeing right now is 99 hours worth of capacity. It's sitting at 100%. And of course, there's no draw happening because I don't have anything plugged into it. So right here, I've got 2 USB Type A ports for charging cell phones. I've got 2 USB 3 ports that says fast charge. And then I've got 2 USB-Cs as well. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna come around and turn on our AC power by holding down this button. So now these AC power outlets should be on. Let's go ahead and plug this thing in, and if it doesn't work, then this is gonna be a real short road trip. All right, plugged in, and I've got lights on the Starlink power adapter. That's good news. So I have Starlink. The black cable goes to the Starlink satellite dish. The white cable is going to this little device right here, which now also has a white light. So hopefully we will see the Starlink Wi-Fi network from my phone really quickly, and then we can log in and start configuring the dish. And basically right as I was saying that, I noticed that the dish kind of went to a straight up and down orientation. This is what it's going to do. It looks like it's sort of moving around a little bit, trying to find its bearings, I guess. But it looks like, as far as power goes, it's going to be just fine to be powered up by that EFDELTA. On the EFDELTA display screen, I know this is probably really difficult to see, but we can see it's got 21 hours of juice remaining, and the output currently is at 62 watts. All right, so not great news here. It's telling me that it could not connect, and before it told me this, it did tell me that it was outside of its geographic location. So we might actually have to pack up and get a little bit closer to actually use this thing. It is pulling power. So I'm seeing 99% battery left, and it's jumping between about 96 to 150 watts as far as the output goes. So I'm gonna try to reboot and then see what we can, and see if we can get it to connect. So unfortunately, second try also didn't work. It has now also started raining pretty good. So I gotta get all of this equipment packed up. I've already stowed the satellite dish so that it's ready for transport, but now I just got to get everything packed away before the rain destroys some of my electronics here. So we're going to do that next, and then we're going to get on the road to the supercharger, because I got to go charge up my car before I can go anywhere else. Well, unfortunately, this trip is turning out to be a complete abysmal failure. So Starlink satellite dish did not work, you know, 2.5, 3 hours away from my home. My drone app on the cell phone, I haven't used it in a long time, and so, you know, Apple pushes stuff you don't use for a long time to the cloud. And there's no LTE service out here that I can download the app again, so I was not able to fly the drone either. I'm still going to try to maybe find some guest Wi-Fi around here somewhere or something like that to see if I can actually download the app. But otherwise, we're just going to have to try this whole thing a different day. All right, so another test before I get home. You can see I'm at the Dean Creek Elk viewing area. And wow, what a beautiful spot. Just look at this. Open fields, mountains, gorgeous. And so I have set up the Starlink satellite dish right here, and it's still saying that we are too far from our home geographic location. So one interesting thing to point out is once it realizes that it's not in the correct geographic location, you can't control the satellite dish anymore. You cannot stow the dish. So to fix that, you have to disconnect the power. You can see I've got my EFDELTA battery bank there. You have to disconnect the power and then wait about 30 seconds, and then you're able to stow it once again. But once it's realized that, hey, I'm not in the right spot, you're basically locked out of the dish entirely. Three weeks later, and look at me, I'm telecommuting. Can you even believe it? This is absolutely awesome. I have my Starlink satellite dish hooked up way back over yonder, and I'm currently about 20 to 30 miles away from my home base location as the crow flies, or I drove about 45 minutes away through the hills here in Oregon. And let me tell you, it's not exactly easy to find a spot that has a big patch of clear sky out here in the Oregon mountains, because there are just trees everywhere. So where I did find a spot, as you can see, are underneath these high voltage wires. It's sort of this clearing that they cut for the power lines that come through here. And those wires may actually have an adverse effect on the bandwidth that I'm seeing out of Starlink. That being said, everything is working fine. The Starlink connection shows a good connection to the satellites, and I'm getting between 20 to 30 megabits download and between 6 to 10 megabits upload. So with about a 25 to 30 millisecond ping. So I have wireless internet access out here. I have wired internet access into my laptop. I have plugged in a voice over IP telephone, and I was able to make a successful voice over IP telephone call that had crystal clear quality. Everything is working just fine, and I literally just pulled over at this open spot on the side of the road, set everything up, and here we are. So now let me give you a closer look at what I actually have set up here. Everything starts with the power. So here we have my EcoFlow Delta. This thing is powering up the network that you see there, as well as the Starlink satellite dish itself. I had to supplement my laptop with this Jackery power bar because I just ran out of plugs on the EcoFlow Delta and I forgot to bring a power strip. I had one the first time I went out, I forgot one this time. This black cable here that comes into the Starlink power brick goes all the way over to the Starlink satellite dish, which is out over here. And now I put that dish over there because it has a clear enough spot of the sky at that location. As you can see, I'm kind of in this area that's just a power line clearing that goes from, all the way over there and all the way over there. Now, these power lines might be causing interference with the Starlink satellite dish. That might be why I'm not seeing the same speeds that I see at my home location. At my home location, I get between 100 to 150 megabits per second, and at this location, I'm seeing a average of about 30 to 35 megabits per second. So here's the dish sitting right here, and then I have a long cable that brings it all the way back up to my little sort of test setup over yonder. From the test setup, I am not using the Starlink router. Out of the Starlink power brick, this white cable is plugged directly into this USG firewall right here. The USG firewall is plugged into this Unify Switch 860 watt, which is powering up three things: the Cloud Key Gen 2, this mesh access point right here, as well as this voice over IP telephone. The one extra cable I have plugged in here, this white one, that goes over to my laptop. So let's make a voice over IP telephone call. You'll see the quality here. On speakerphone, we're gonna call the office.
Welcome to Crosstalk Solutions. My name's Chris, and you've reached my IVR.
All right, let's try Andy. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I got you on speakerphone. How's the quality on speakerphone?
Good, good. Yeah, I'm on Clearly Anywhere on my phone now. Do I sound good?
Oh, you're on a Clearly Anywhere soft phone on your mobile?
Yeah, right now I am.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, it sounds fine. Like I said, from out here in the middle of nowhere, it sounds great.
Yeah, no, you sound great as well.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
All right, sounds good.
Bye. All right, let's do some speed tests. I don't know how much you'll be able to see here, but we're going to go ahead and run. You can see it says SpaceX Starlink. We're going to run a speed test to speedtest.net. And again, this is from my phone wirelessly to the Ubiquiti mesh access point through the Ubiquiti network into Starlink and out to the internet. 40.8 down by 3.73 up. So the download seems okay, especially given where we're under these power lines. The upload at 3.7 megabits, that's a little bit concerning. I'm going to try to do a live stream. Look, you can actually see me in the reflection. I'm going to try to do a live stream in a little bit, and so I would like to see the upload a little bit better than that for that live stream. So we're gonna close down this live stream. This is Chris from Crosstalk, live from space via Starlink. This type of live stream, doing what I'm doing right now, was not possible 6 months ago, was not possible 1 year ago. and now we have this available. That to me is absolutely amazing. I wholeheartedly endorse Starlink. I love it. I want more. I want more satellites. I want faster connection speeds. I want to be able to take this thing anywhere I want to. All of that would be absolutely amazing. I just finished doing a live stream. I don't remember exactly how long the live stream went. It was about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, maybe closer to an hour. I really kind of lose track of time when I'm doing that stuff. But the live stream from here in the middle of nowhere was successful. There were 3 blips throughout the live stream. The first blip was about 15 to 20 seconds, satellite internet related, meaning that I lost connectivity. You know, the pings that I was running stopped and then came back about 15 to 20 seconds later. There was a second blip that was shorter. It was about 5 seconds. And then there was a third blip where my laptop actually lost power. I had to reboot the laptop and then got back into the stream as soon as I rebooted. So we were down for about a minute because of that. But absolutely amazing that you can do this type of stuff now. I said it in the live stream and I will say it again here. 1 year ago, what I just did live streaming from out here in the middle of nowhere was not possible, okay? And it is possible now with this technology. It's absolutely astounding to me and I love it so much. And now it is time to pack everything back up. We're gonna put the satellite dish away, put away all of that equipment, and drive back to my home location. Successful remote Starlink deployment and successful live stream. What did we learn throughout this video? So number one, there are specific cells that your Starlink satellite dish is stuck into. It's geo-locked into a particular cell. What else did we learn? Well, we learned that there are speed differences depending on where you put your satellite dish. My satellite dish, when plugged in at home, I typically get about 100 megabits per second. It's somewhere between like 80 to like 120 megabits per second on average. But at this live stream location, some of the speed tests that I were getting were quite low. So I was getting speed tests when I was not live streaming of about 30 megabits, 30 to 35 megabits download, and then about 6 to 10 megabits upload. While I was live streaming, I was getting much lower results. So I was getting sub 10 megabit down and 2 to 4 megabit up. Now that could have been because of the high voltage wires that were running literally directly over the Starlink satellite dish. I'm not sure how that high voltage affects the signal between the dish and the low Earth orbit satellites. Other things that we have learned recently is that Starlink is now available in Australia. So if you are an Aussie and you would like to sign up for satellite service, go to starlink.com. You can sign up and at least get on the waiting list for when it's available in your particular area. We've also seen rumblings from Starlink as well as some early testing for mobile Starlink, meaning Starlink in your car, Starlink in your RV, Starlink on your long-haul truck route, right? So these are things that I believe will be coming at some point, although, again, today, you are geo-locked into your specific cell, and once you take the dish outside that cell, the app will tell you, hey, you're too far away, you can't use this dish. We had a question in the live stream about Starlink on boats as well, and again, as much as I would love to see Starlink everywhere, having it on ships might be a little bit of an issue because of the motion of the ocean, right? The waves and the satellite tracking. So if they can get the satellite tracking to a point where it has some, tolerance to the yaw and pitch of a boat, then perhaps it'll be totally feasible. It might have to be a completely different kind of satellite dish to be able to do that. But, again, hopefully they'll figure that out. I'm sure there's a very big market for Starlink in the boating community. We also had a very interesting question come up on the live stream about what is the future of wireless ISPs now that Starlink is becoming more prevalent. And I gotta say, in my opinion, it doesn't really look good for wireless ISPs. Now, if you have an established wireless ISP and you're providing service with very little upfront and, you know, fairly low monthly recurring, you know, service charges for your customers, you know, down in the $40 to $60 range, something like that, you're probably fine for a good long while for your customers. But I certainly wouldn't be trying to start a wireless ISP right now. It doesn't seem to me that the investment in wireless services for rural areas is going to be a wise investment. Considering that for, you know, $500 plus $100 a month, pretty soon anyone's going to be able to get really good solid internet. Maybe a year from now, we're talking about speeds of 200 to 300 megabits with, you know, sub 30 millisecond pings. So yeah, as far as wireless ISPs, I don't know. That's an open question, but to me, it's not really looking good. And believe me, I'll be bringing up this topic if and when I go to the Wispapalooza conference again. I'd love to actually talk to wireless ISP owners about what their thoughts are on Starlink. And if I do that, I will certainly report back. All right, so there you have it. That's going to do it for our quick little Starlink road trip here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please click subscribe. My name's Chris with Crosstalk Solutions, and thank you so much for watching.